She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We are very blessed that you decided to join us today. Thanks so much for taking time to spend this next hour talking about your success. Today's going to be a little bit of a different show. There's something I've been thinking about lately, and you know, here on the Dani Johnson Show, every single day we are bringing you strategies and skill sets and content that causes you to think about your future, that causes you to make some new decisions, as well as to define success for you. We are obliterating the status quo of success because I think that whoever created the rule or whatever success looks like was a lie. I don't know about you, but many people are chasing after what that facade is, and they're more and more miserable today, more hostile today, they're more upset today, their marriage is a mess, kids are a mess, finances are a mess, massive amounts of debt, all to look successful, chasing their own tail with more frustration, more stress, and no peace. So here today, we want to be able to entice you into the thought about what is success for you. So in that direction, there's something I've been thinking about lately that I think is really important for us to have a conversation about. You know, we have an entire generation here that I've been writing about and talking about actually for more than 10 years. Yes, it's the Millennials. I wrote about them in the book, Grooming the Next Generation for Success. Later in today's show, we're going to have one join us because he's had some tremendous success that we're very, very proud about and feel like he needs to be inspiring his own generation. But what I want to talk to you about is this. There's some things that I've watched as a mother. First of all, I'm a mother of 5 and a grandmother of 8, a business owner. I've owned several companies through the last 27 years, which makes me old, which is how I have 8 grandchildren. But nonetheless, in employing a lot of people through the years and doing business with hundreds of thousands of people from around the world, writing best-selling books that are taught in universities all over the world, traveling and speaking and studying and working with all different types of people, millennials as well as their parents and even their grandparents. There's some things that I've noticed and seen as I've studying the markets. And I think it's important for all of us, whether we are millennial or not, how to work in this environment that the largest part of the population today, now it is said, don't know if it's totally proven, are millennials. And that also means that the future is the millennials. Our future workforce is also of that particular generation, whom I believe in greatly. This is a generation that is a rallying generation. It is a generation that is a picketing generation. They are ones that believe in fighting for a cause. They really have vastly walked away from their parents' ideals in that many times their parents spent their lives chasing money and chasing the status quo of success. And more than anybody, the millennials are like, forget the status quo of success. Forget that. I could care less about the big house. Forget about that big car or several nice cars. I don't care about fitting in and that my value comes from what I drive or what I wear. In fact, many of them enjoy shopping in thrift stores. They love thrifting, they call it, which is super fun, by the way. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but it's super fun. They really believe everything that they see in social media. Social media is their everything. Their television is YouTube. They really don't trust mainstream news, which I don't know if any of us should trust mainstream news because forget about it. I don't even want to talk about that. It's a mess and it's disgusting and it's biased and they're just constantly selling you what the deliverer, what the reporter wants you to believe is what they're telling you, that part of the story, which is totally not journalism. That is straight up hypocrisy and totally wrong. But anyway, but the millennials have an ability to kind of discern and see things that their parents' generation could not see, that they could not fathom. The things that their parents like fully believed in, the millennials have a tendency of not believing it, really being questioning of the generation that is above them. Now, there's a lot of great things about that, and there's some things that are kind of challenging about that. First of all, how to bridge that gap, but we're not going to talk about that today. But what I want to say is this. We have many of the people who have been working with us for years who are millennials. And I want to have a heart-to-heart talk with you specifically. And if you are a parent of one, as I am a parent of 5, then this might also be helpful and beneficial for you too. Now, I'm coming from a position and an opinion not based on just something that floated into my head. This has been the observance for the last 2 decades, raising 5 of my own and working and employing many of them. And I have found some incredible strategic things about them, and I have also found some things that are hurtful for them. And so I kind of want to have a heart-to-heart talk with you who are a millennial, or even you who are the parent of them, or you who are the employer of them. First of all, really study who they are. Study how they think. Learn how they think. Quit trying to push your thinking and your belief system on them, but instead engage in a healthy conversation where they're able to share their opinions and share them fully. And you'll find that there's great wisdom inside them. You'll find that there's some great points. They're deep thinkers. They are well-read in many, many cases. Now, of course, there are those that are on the fringe, that are video gamers and junk food eaters, just like their parents were. But again, that's a different form. Like, instead of video games, the parents watched a lot of television, right? Passed out on the couch with their mouth open with drool hanging down, with the half-eaten chicken bone on the coffee table, sitting in their lazy boy chair as they're watching the news or watching their favorite nighttime soap opera. Okay, so I mean, that's very similar to the junk food eating video gamers that are in many of the millennials. Not all of them, but many of them. But those who have come into the workplace, those who have engaged in the marketplace, they are different. Okay, and I have several of them on my staff, and I wouldn't change a thing. In fact, I'm looking to bring on board many, many more of them. We're in the midst of doing massive expansion with our companies. And in that massive expansion, I'm specifically looking for many of them because the kind of creativity that they have, the kind of out-of-the-box thinking that they have, the different types of perspectives that they have, how they process and how they make decisions, the newness that is in them, the freshness that is in them, the kind of language in which they use is largely what the marketplace is gravitating towards. And so if we keep speaking the language, of our very polished professors and philosophers and professionals, we're not going to grab them. They like things that are much more loose, much more casual, yet still professional. The millennials love really good service, and they love things to be delivered fast. And in that, again, I want to have this heart-to-heart with you who is a millennial. And here's part of it. One thing that I have noticed is that we see in the younger millennials, right? So those in their early 20s, they've got some really big dreams. They've got some things that they want to do. They have this thing inside of them, much like their parents did when their parents was that age, where it was like, man, I'm just going to knock over the world, man. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do great things. So if it's about wealth, man, I'm going to be a billionaire. It's not a millionaire anymore. I'm going to be a billionaire. Okay. If it's about owning real estate, I want 1,000 homes. You know what I mean? It is everything is pretty well amplified, and it's huge. And it's kind of like this mindset that they are completely unstoppable. And part of that is the age, but part of that is the culture, their culture, their generation. They also hate injustice. They absolutely hate injustice. And they will picket, they will rally. What is the word I'm looking for? Protest. They will protest against injustice. And they are very hard to move on their position of what they call justice. And so on that note, with the big thinking, the big dreaming, which is so important for all of our future, it really is so, so important. The thing that I want to talk to you about, if you are a millennial, is that there is a time and place for a starting point, okay? There's a place to start. And I want to kind of bring you an example. I have a young man in our family. He is my husband's cousin, and his sisters. We've been very closely involved with that part of the family. And Tim has been very engaged with everything that we teach with Destiny Global. So Destiny Global has a plethora of teaching and education and simple strategies for succeeding succeeding in your career, succeeding with communication instead of driving, your spouse crazy and them driving you crazy, and same with the kids and same with your coworkers, instead of everyone just frustrated with bad communication skills. Destiny Global has a tremendous amount of help in these particular areas, which makes life so much easier, much more fulfilling, less stressful, and things get done faster. So, and as well as financial training, business training, how to start a company, how to become an investor, how to annihilate all your debt. And so Tim was one who was very well studied. I mean, he started studying our materials when he was about 9 years old. I mean, shocking, right? About 9 years old, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, he was listening to Unlimited Success, which is a complete training program that you can draw from on how to become a great employee or how to start a business. Communication, marketing, how to grow profits, all things of that nature, right? So he started studying these kind of things at a very, very young age. And he happened to be one of those that really charted a great path for himself. Yes, he went to college specifically for finance, and now he's working for a big oil company here in Texas, and he has a very high-paying job, and he is just now turned 25, okay? And he came out of college making a great amount of money. He used things like job domination to prosper greatly in his first internship while he was still in college. So he used literally all of the things that we teach from a spiritual standpoint to the actual tactical how-tos, how to upset your boss versus how to get your boss to want to promote you. And he was promoted within the company right away. And he owns a house now. He's actually an investor, okay, on the side. Now, this is what I've seen with Tim. Number one, a lot of millennials have a tendency of not being teachable. They've kind of done a lot of reading on the internet. They've read maybe some books, and they've come to their own conclusions, and they think everything they know how to do is right. So coming across millennials that are actually teachable is a rare thing. And so Tim happens to be one of those incredibly highly teachable individuals who was hungry and has took the advice of get addicted to learning. And that's what he's done. And as a result of it, he's far ahead of pretty much most people that are in the family and most people that are even of his generation, because he has charted a path that's steady. And that is also different than a lot of the millennials. A lot of the millennials have a hard time making a commitment and sticking to something. They have a tendency of jumping around. Like every couple of years, they're bored. They're not where they want it to be yet. It's not happening fast enough. It's not growing, at the pace that they think it should. They're not in the position that they think they should be in. And quite honestly, every path to success always takes longer than we thought it was going to. It really does. We get to hear the big stories, the big corporations, how successful they are. They can tell you that they were in the works for 20 years and all the big problems that they had, but most people don't pay attention to that. So when we continue, we're going to continue to dissect this millennial conversation and how they can succeed and how all of us can succeed together. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue after this.
Are you a millennial and tired of people judging you for it? After the break, Dani will show you a simple way to differentiate yourself from your peers. Stay tuned. Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org. The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
We all want success fast, right? And then, of course, we read these great success stories of these companies out of nowhere that just, now they're multi-billion dollars. The part that we have a tendency of not doing is digging a little deeper and maybe reading some of the books of really reading the story of what actually did happen and how long it actually did take. Largely, we find today in our own personal definition of success, what usually is in there is that we want it fast or we don't want it at all. And we are in a world where we have a large population of millennials who have that mindset that I want it fast or I don't want it at all. I want it now or forget about it. If it doesn't happen big, then I don't want to play. The fact is that this will hurt that particular generation. And then there are those who pick a steady path and they choose to be consistent on that path, and they are getting ahead of even their parents, like Tim Johnson, a cousin of my husband's who we have been influencing since he was a very little guy, and his mom brought him to Destiny Global's First Steps to Success training seminar when he was very, very young, and he's been pressing play on all of the materials that Destiny Global has available for him to learn finance and for him to learn business and job performance and communication skills and how to motivate people. He started to learn this when he was in junior high school and now is like phenomenally succeeding, and he's only 25 years old. He came out of college making more money than his father did, and his father spent his entire life at the Postal Service making a really good wage, and here he comes out of college in finance and is making more money and now has been promoted again. And so how has he done that? Like, what is the difference between him and other of these millennials? Also, later in today's show, we're going to actually interview one and see what they're doing that's different than what other millennials are doing. I fully believe in the millennials, and I love their dream. I love how big it is, and I love how they rally and how they protest and how they hate injustice. They hate injustice. I love that they're out-of-the-box thinkers. And on the flip side of it, there's a warning for the millennials. And that is, don't abandon the universal laws of success that's going to help you get to where you want to go. Yes, think out of the box. Yes, have big dreams. Yes, go after them. But watch out for these trips and these falls and these giant gutters, if you will, or even big giant valleys that you can bring upon yourself because of not knowing what the universal laws of success are. And so in this, In today's show, as we're defining success, you know, I've seen the comparison with different types of millennials. Some of them, you know, have, and some of them have gone to school and they've gotten the education, and then of course there was no job for them, and they're upset about that, and should be upset about that. But at the same time, we also have got to take responsibility for the fact that were we putting all of our hope in college, and what do we need to learn to be able to market ourselves coming out of college? How are we going to be set apart from everybody else that is competing in the marketplace of all of the millennials? How are we going to make sure that we're not lost in the shuffle with everybody else that is our age, but that we are the ones that are going to be chosen and picked and prosper and grow to higher levels of success faster than everybody else because we picked a different path? So it's not so much the college degree, it's so much of how do you know how to market yourself within that degree. And so what I've seen is I've seen two types of millennials, very much so like the generation that is before them. In all reality, they just think that they're completely different. Yes, they're more casual. Yes, they're bigger thinkers. And what I've seen between the two is the one who has this expectation that just because they've arrived, they should succeed. And that's not the case. I've also seen inconsistency, job hopping, just a whole lot of job hopping, and as soon as they get into one place, they find a reason to want to change it. They find a reason that it's not for them. They find a reason that they're bored. They find a reason that the promise, you know, wasn't exactly what they thought that it was going to be. And I have to tell you that that is called life. And when you don't root yourself, whether it's in a business or it's in a job or in a relationship for that matter, when you don't build a root system, you cannot have great fruit in your life. You're not going to have the great fruit of success. So the sooner that you get yourself rooted, and it's not so much of how do I find the career that's best for me? I certainly didn't find the career that was best for me. I mean, give me a break. When I was homeless, I just needed something to make money. And at that time, it was being a cocktail waitress, and I actually started in a business that wasn't good for me, that I didn't like, that I didn't even believe in, but it was what I needed to do to make money. And lo and behold, did I ever think and imagine that I'd make $1 million inside of 2 years. I made my first $1 million in 2 years in a business I didn't even like, something I didn't even believe in, something that wasn't that to me was like, man, you know, wasn't exciting or any of that. But what I did do is I made the purpose behind that business exciting. And so the business itself is not something, or the job itself doesn't have to be exciting, but the purpose of why you're there is where you can be excited about why you're there, why you're doing what you're doing, why you're working, who you're working with, and what you intend to do and how you intend to leave it to be a better place and make a difference in people's lives, which I also believe that millennials really care about. They're very interested in people. They're very interested in improving people's lives, which is why you see many of them protesting for injustices when other people have been forgotten. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue this conversation right after this.
Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities, and they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week, and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage, and I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
Go to DaniJohnson.com to find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
I had no vision for my life. I absolutely hated people, hated myself. I felt shackled by my debt, and I had toxic relationships. Since plugging in, I've been drug-free for almost 8 18 months, I paid off nearly $14,000 worth of debt in 14 months. I have completely restored my relationships with my friends and my family. I have a vision for my life now, and I'm actually live and not exist anymore. So I don't know if you have debt or not, or if your life's going perfectly the way you want it to go. But if not, I highly recommend you get registered today for the next first steps to success.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, we were just lost. We had no hope and light at the end of the tunnel, and we were drowning in debt. After coming to First Steps to Success and plugging into DaniJohnson.com, our income has doubled. We have paid off over $76,000 of debt in just 45 months. My husband and my communication skills have just raised us through the roof, and my husband has cut back his hours, making more income. If you want results like these, you better get to First Steps to Success.
I have been plugging into Dani Johnson for the last 8 years, believe it or not. And people say, why so long? Well, because there's a lot to do in life, and it has changed every area of my life. My business has exploded, my spiritual life has been unmatched, and my relationship with my wife and my family has just been fantastic. We've paid off over $200,000 of debt in just 2 years. We're debt-free, and I just could not be happier. But if you want to change any area of your life, whether it's your business, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your financial situation, or getting out of debt, or your spiritual life, I would tell you, you cannot afford to miss First Steps to Success. It's just been a blessing to me and my family. So I really invite you to just get online and get your ticket to the next First Steps to Success. Thank you very much.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
So as we've been in this discussion about millennials and what they represent and what they like, what they gravitate towards, and their incredible talent and skill and mindset that they can bring into the marketplace. And then the flip side of it, you know, the side where sometimes some of that mindset can kind of get in their way. Joining me now, one of our clients, Justin Edge, who represents that part of this generation that's on the earth, that part of the workforce, was a college student who was broke and in debt when we met him. You're about to hear what his success has been since he's tapped into Destiny Global's training materials, all the strategies, the new simple skill sets and simple strategies that he's learned for his finances and his career. I can't wait for you to be inspired by this young man. Justin, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey, Dani, how's it going?
So good. Hey, so prior to First Steps to Success, which is a 3-day training seminar, an intensive training seminar that helps to teach people about their finances, their careers, growing in those places, not being mediocre in those places, but like very hands-on strategic tools. You learned a lot there, and how did you apply it? What was the results?
So prior to First Steps to Success and DaniJohnson.com, like you said, I was a broke college student, just drowning in debt, and was kind of lost in life. And so I learned how Dani's warm debt system, and I was able to pay off $31,000 in debt. And I learned relationship skills, how to build relationships with people in my family, and where I was lacking that, within those relationships.
Yeah, and you paid off that. You paid off $31,000 worth of debt in 12 months, which is shocking. I mean, that's as much as someone makes in their career. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you were able to annihilate that in a year. Now, before you were brought on the show, I was talking about millennials and looking at the difference in the workforce, and you're of that generation. Now, do you find that most of your friends are in debt and don't know how to pay it off?
Yes, definitely.
And what's the general attitude about that? I mean, so here you're in college, you're trying to beat the odds, you're trying to succeed, and yet you're racking up all this debt while you're in college. And how did you feel when you're in college and you're broke and there doesn't seem to be prospects for that changing?
It just felt horrible. I just was drowning in debt and just not, working low-paying jobs. And it just felt really, really bad. And I knew a lot of my friends had the same thing. They was taking out loans, you know, going to school. And it just felt horrible. Like, I was like, came my heart deep down, I was like, why am I really doing this? Like, why am I going in more and more debt?
Yep.
And it just felt bad. And I'm just so glad that I have learned the skills from you, Dani, to be able to pay off this debt. Because when I first started, I never thought it was even possible to pay off this type of debt. You know what I mean? So I'm just so grateful for your training and following directions and being able to apply the skills I learned from you, Dani. Thank you.
You're so sweet, Justin. It's been fun watching you. Now, let's go back to this. So do you feel like your friends, like in the midst of the conversation, because again, this is kind of an interview of millennials, and they're in college, they have all this debt, they're taking out more loans. Did you and your friends ever talk about that? Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, we had those conversations.
And what came up in those conversations?
We weren't really thinking about, like, we were just trying to get through college and just trying to make it and just trying to finish school and, not trying to apply for scholarships, but not getting as much, to cover school. So it was really tough. I'm going to be honest. Like, I got a little bit of scholarships, but it didn't cover everything. And I wasn't working enough to be able to pay my living. So I had to take out more to live off of. That was my biggest expense. Living.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
More than the education itself was the living expenses.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then how in the world does a broke college student end up at First Steps to Success, a 3-day business and finance and relationship seminar?
Actually, when I was in community college, I actually found this business opportunity, and they had you as your trainer. So what I did is I heard your call, how to get over your excuses, and I was just like, wow, never heard anything like that ever before. And I went to your website, listened to the testimonials, and I found out that you was in Atlanta, coming to Atlanta back in 2010, and I think it was November 2010, and I was like, I just got to be there. It's like God was speaking to me and saying, you got to go. Like, it's time to change your life. So I went to that event, and look at me now.
That is amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So, and you continued to tap into that. So what was it that really like grabbed you and like encouraged you to be able to make those changes and actually take those steps?
Actually learning the skills from you and just the community. Like, I never, ever met any type of people that I met at First Steps to Success in my life. It's just a very warm, welcoming community, and I'm just so grateful that I, took the action to actually go and to a live event and make the changes in my life. So can you describe that community that you met at that event? And so when you say community, that means that you're still in touch with these people that you met at that very first event. Yes, they're like very warm and welcoming, and we work together to help each other achieve goals. So the people there are amazing, very friendly, very open, non-judgmental. It's just been awesome with having the friendships that I have with the people that I met at First Step to Success. So,
and is that community like all one race and all one religion and all one, financial status, or what did you find there?
No, it's people from all over the world, different races, different backgrounds, different religions, and we all just come together and just put our egos aside and just meet and get to know each other. So that's what I really like about the community that I had a chance to interact with at First Steps to Success.
That's awesome. And community is important. And I know that for millennials, community is almost everything. It's like community is actually family. You know what I mean? It's like it's almost bigger than family to a lot of millennials. And they have a tendency of gravitating towards, all the social media places. You know what I mean? And that's a community. And being engaged socially. So have you connected on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube with the community? How do you stay in touch with this community that you met through DestinyGlobal.com and First Steps to Success?
through Facebook. I have their contact information, so the phone number. We text a lot. And the biggest thing for me that I recently just started doing was having accountability groups. That just took everything to the next level. I'm gonna be honest, Dani. Accountability groups I really, really needed, and I wish I would have did it back then.
So, like, in what area? What area did you need accountability, and what kind of accountability groups are you a part of?
I'm a part of Warren Debt Accountability Group, Goals and Sprouts, and just my spiritual life. Like, it really changed a lot. I'm gonna be honest, Dani, because it's like I wanted to do it, but I needed somebody to hold me accountable, to keep me, in check. Because I go good, like for a couple weeks, and then I get off track. So just having those people keeping me accountable and say, hey, did you do this last week? What you got done? It's been awesome. I'm just so grateful that I really took that action on that.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I just saw you at the last First Steps to Success in Orlando.
Yes.
We had over 1,200 people that were there in the room. Such an exciting event. But just seeing that community, it's like a family that stay together and help to lift each other up. And then when we fall off the wagon, and we all fall off the wagon, when we fall off the wagon, you know what I mean? There's that time of saying, come on, it's a kind nudge. And then when it needs to be a little bit more strong, then there's that stronger nudge, and then you're holding other people accountable too inside of that community. So it's not just the strategies and the skill, it's being in the environment where people can hold each other in that place to where we're using those strategies, those skills. So tell me, when you were talking about earlier, like, okay, I needed accountability for war on debt, for setting goals and tracking and keeping my attitude straight about my goals. And then you said your spiritual life. So these are three separate different all the same one community, but three different accountability groups that have risen up out of that community. When we return back, let's talk about some of those goals. Let's talk about, from a millennial standpoint, goals. How do we approach them, and the importance of accountability with that, and also your spiritual life. I want to hear what areas have you grown in your spiritual life since you first tapped in to First Steps to Success? How has that grown? How are you different? How is that tangible? So many people can say, oh, I've grown, but where's the tangible proof that we've grown? You know what I mean? What's the difference? Where is the fruit of what we say that we wanted to do? So when we continue right back, more with Justin Edge, we're going to dive deeper in the importance of goals, the importance of accountability, the importance of growing your spiritual life as well, because when your spiritual life is a mess, everything else is a disaster. So that's why it's so important to keep that right on track. So this is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Coming up next, Justin shares the secret to his awesome success, and you might be surprised by what it is.
I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's D-A-N-I Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
Go to DaniJohnson.com to find out about our next live event, First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
My name's Derek, and this is my wife, Michelle, and we're the Holland Sheds. We live in Covina, California, about 45 minutes from here, and we're extremely honored to be able to share our story. And when we were approached about it, I was kind of thinking, well, where do I start? Where do we start? But I'm going to start a few years back, before there was a Michelle and Derek. Actually, I was actually debt-free, and kind of going along pretty good. And then a funny thing happened. I got married, and I married into debt. And okay, we're going to do fine. We'll pay it off, and life will be good. But a funny thing happened was that that didn't seem to happen. Yeah, and as a result, it, just kind of thinking it's going to happen, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and something always happens, and and the result is that debt doesn't get paid. So it starts becoming like an old friend, and then unfortunately the marriage failed, but I was able to meet Michelle, and we got married, and married into debt again. only now it's a little bit bigger, but at least the house that I had, this was during the housing boom, so use some of the equity in the house to pay that debt off, and okay, we got a clean state, let's go forward. And but in our early days in our marriage, we had some difficulty as far as being on the same page financially, and Michelle will share a little bit more about that. And I guess it's a good point for me to hand it over to her.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Like Derek said, honestly, you guys, the first 7 years of our marriage, when I came into our marriage, he paid my debt off. And I ran our debt up 3 different times in the first 7 years of our marriage, you guys. I would have never imagined being in that spot. Derek didn't trust me. And it finally got to a place where, my gosh, I can't keep doing this. I was pretty much told to come to this event by a good friend of mine, and it was the best thing she could have said to me, because it's what I needed. I would have not have come had I not have had that charge and challenge that way. The moment I got here and we saw the war, I saw the war on debt, I said, this is it. This is our ticket. This is what's going to help us go to the next level. This is what's going to help us. You guys, we've since in 33 months, we have paid off over $159,000 worth of debt. We have money in savings. We have $300,000 in assets, income-producing assets. We continue to plug in. I was the first one to come, but immediately afterwards, I told my husband I couldn't wait. I called him. I told him about War on Debt. He immediately said, let's do it. We had some friends that hosted a War on Debt class there right after, and we went to it, and we found $502 worth of excess spending our first month, and we revisited our budget after that, and then we thought we were just broke, living paycheck to paycheck. We were overwhelmed. We felt hopeless. I never would have thought I would lose my husband's trust, and the techniques, the strategies that Dani Johnson teaches you guys helped us save our marriage, our finances, our communication. You guys, we started out with, my favorite product is spiritual equipping, and I know Darren has a favorite product.
We're on debt, and you think?
You guys, we kind of bought things one by one. However, you guys have a great opportunity outside that door, that table out there, where you can buy the whole DJ University curriculum, and you get almost over $1,000 off. So you have either option, but that's a great opportunity for you. Don't let anything stop you guys. There is hope, there is life, and I'm very grateful and honored to be here. So without further delay, you guys, help us welcome back America's favorite millionaire and our mentor and coach, Dani Johnson.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Your success is important to us, and we are here to help you succeed. The Dani Johnson Show is about your success and how you define it. What matters to you? What matters most? What's more important to you than money? Because some things are much more important than money. And I know the society is bombarding you with their definition of success, and it usually is in the likes of cars and houses and jewelry and status and fame and wealth or riches, accomplishments. But is that what it really is? Really? I mean, if we actually had the opportunity to look behind the curtain, what would we see? Behind the cars, behind the houses, behind the stuff, the jewelry. What would we see if we actually peeked behind that curtain? Would we see frustration and stress? Would we see pressure? Would we see unfulfilled lives, straight up dissatisfaction, fighting, arguing, striving? Well, if you were to look behind my curtain 26 years ago, that's what you would have saw. Yeah, I had made my first million, but I was miserable. I felt like a failure. I had so much debt. I was a mess. Joining me now is Justin Edge. He's a client. We've been talking about today, millennials. We're talking about today what they bring into the marketplace, their assets, and as well as their liabilities, as everybody has assets and liabilities. Justin paid off $31,000 worth of debt in 12 months after attending Destiny Global's First Steps to Success, a 3-day training seminar. He's revealed to us that he has found a community that, yes, the strategies and the skills that were so simple to apply were so helpful, but the community that he met through those training seminars and through Facebook that this community hangs out on. If you want to connect with that community, you want to test them out, you go to Dani Johnson Live. It's DANI Johnson Live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You will find our community on those 4 social media platforms, connecting with each other, encouraging, edifying each other, and holding each other accountable. And so Justin was just talking about that he's a part of one of those accountability groups for his finances, which is how he's paid off $31,000 worth of debt, but also about goals as well as spiritual life. So Justin, how has your spiritual life changed since tapping into that 3-day training seminar, First Steps to Success?
Prior, to plugging into First Steps to Success, I kind of really wasn't. I went to church, but I really wasn't, into God like that. I kind of been off and on out of church, and since then, plugging in, I'm actually more involved in church. I actually read the Bible more. And I actually listen to more spiritual music, and planting that spirituality in my soul. So it's been really great.
How has that helped you, though? I mean, those are all wonderful things that you've done. But what's the fruit in Justin? How has Justin changed spiritually? Meaning everything that you mentioned is like, okay, check it off the list. I'm a better believer now because I go to church consistently. I listen to Christian music and I read my Bible. That don't determine nothing. I want to know, who is Justin today? His character. What has changed in him that is different than it was when you first tapped in 2010?
I actually love people for who they are now. Before then, I used to have a lot of judgment towards people and just have bad relationships. Now I'm more loving and accepting people, where they're at, no matter where they're from.
What do you mean bad relationships? Come on, give me an example. I want to know, what kind of a jerk were you?
I was like, I had bad relationships with my dad, had a lot of judgment towards him.
Like what?
So,
what did you judge him for? What did you judge him for?
Because he wasn't in my life, and he wasn't there for me. So I didn't really want to talk to him. Didn't really want to build a relationship with him. So I kind of just pushed him, on the side and not haven't been speaking to him.
Oh, so he didn't really do what you thought he should do, with spending more time with you. So you're like, forget you, man. You ain't gonna spend time with me. I don't want nothing to do with you. That was your attitude. Gotcha. So how has that changed?
Yeah. Now, today, we actually are building our relationship. It's been really great. I got a chance to spend time with him last year in L.A. I haven't seen him in like 7 to 8 years. So it's been really good.
What did you learn? What did you learn through that experience of no longer being judgmental and resentful and bitter towards him, but now you're building that relationship? What's that like?
He's a really good person, and I get to learn more about, how he is and, what makes him tick, what he likes. Recently, I found out that my grandmother is from Puerto Rico. So I didn't know that. So it's just been just finding out those little things that I didn't have a chance to, I had a chance to ask my dad. I didn't ask my dad because I felt abandoned because he left me when I was like 2 or 3 years old. So, yeah, that's the really big things that I was holding against my dad. But I realized that, why am I holding this against him? I just forgave him, and I wanted to build a relationship with him. Yeah. Because it's just stupid just to hold that stuff, against him.
Yes. And not only that, but he was a young man, and he made a stupid choice. Let me ask you, Justin, have you ever done something stupid when you were young?
Of course I did.
And let me ask you a question. Will you still do stupid things moving forward?
Every day.
Every day, okay? And it's so funny how we hold things against people, but we don't hold the same things for ourselves. We have a high standard for others, but we won't live in that standard ourselves. And so what an awesome thing that you had the courage to now get to know your dad instead of believing a decision that he made that I know he regrets, that he wished he had all this time with his son, but you no longer are being robbed of the future as a son with your father.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
Yes, it is. I'm so grateful that I took action and got over my ego.
Yes, seriously. Move that sick and disgusting out the way. It don't serve anybody. And I love that. I love that you had the courage to do that. And so now you have a relationship with your dad. Where else? Where else were you a jerk, Justin?
To my friends.
How so? Were you a judgmental religious person?
Not really. I just
How were you a jerk?
didn't want to spend time with them.
Why not? They weren't good enough for you?
No. They was doing stuff I didn't really want to do. So I kind of just want to push them out, to the side a little bit. But I just knew deep down in my heart that I was, put on this earth for more. And I didn't want to, because I'm from a small town and we all get like stuck in a rut there. So I just was like, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
I need to find new people to be around.
Yeah.
And so I was so grateful to find First Steps to Success because it really changed my life.
So are you a better friend to those friends now?
Oh, yes, of course I am. Of course. I love them where they're at. I just don't judge them. Why judge them?
Yeah, that's so awesome.
It's crazy to have that judgmental attitude towards them.
Yep.
I just love them where they at.
That's awesome.
And I still spend time with them too. We actually travel.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now you can be a light and encouragement to them, believing in them. And as you're living out your life of success, you are inspiring them regardless if you realize it or not. But judgment, as soon as we judge other people, we're going to be judged under the same exact measure, even by those same people and many more people. So I'm really proud of you for having the courage to move past that. You know what I mean? And to improve who you are as a human being. Because the last thing in the world we need is more judgmental people on the earth. We have too many already. Billions of them. And no one likes to be around them. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more. Justin, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Hi, I'm Raven Michelle, and what I love about our clients is their honesty and transparency. See, I have made great friends in our client base, and when I see them at events, I get to hear about how their lives are transforming, right? They're taking what we teach and they're actually applying it to their lives, and they're seeing the fruit of that, right? So marriages being so much better, they argue less, okay? They get along more. Their kids are like very honoring and respectful now instead of like not listening or being disobedient. Things at work are improving greatly, and they actually like their jobs, right? Finances going from just living paycheck to paycheck to actually, okay, they're making leeway, and they're no longer struggling. They actually can pay off their debt and actually take vacations. So for me, just seeing the clients go, just seeing you take what you learn and actually go use it, and just the changes that happen in your life is so inspiring to me. And I just love hearing all the changes that are happening for you, and just the joy that comes with that, the peace that comes with that, the happiness that comes with that for you. So yeah, keep applying what you're learning.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Success is not staying in a rut. Success really is looking in the mirror and seeing what has to change in you in order for your life to reach the levels of success that you want it to. It's never going to come from your friends, your pastor, your president or prime minister, your boss, your coworkers, your spouse, or your children. Your success is yours, and you are responsible for looking in the mirror today and asking the question, am I a good friend? Am I a good coworker? Am I a good leader? Now, most of the time, you'll want to lie to yourself and say, yeah, but then you got to look at your fruit in your life like Justin did. He looked at the fruit in his life as a millennial and said, wow, I'm pretty isolated. I have no relationship with my father. I have no relationship with my so-called friends. I've judged everybody to the point where I'm alone. I'm in debt. I'm in low-paying jobs. My life sucks. That's where this millennial found himself, but he was a rare one. He took responsibility. He didn't blame anybody. He made the changes. He learned new, simple strategies on how to communicate with people, how to work through some tough issues in his own heart, how to become one that accepts, which is one that is attractive to all human beings love to be around people who accept people. He found himself a community that spurs him on to the great places in which he has come. So if you're a millennial, I hope you're being inspired by Justin Edge. I love his name, Justice and Edge. I hope that you choose to not stay in the same place, and I hope you don't wait for someone else to make the changes for you. You have everything that it takes to do what Justin has done. You have everything to do what it takes to do what Tim has done, who I talked about earlier. Stay away from the traps of that success should fall out of the sky, and when it doesn't, somebody else is to blame. You've got creativity. You've got something in you that's special and amazing, and you are called to greatness. You are called to more than the generation before you, and you can learn the skills, the very strategic skills that were not taught in school, not taught in college, the very strategic skills. They're going to bring you to places that you will inspire your family that's older than you and inspire the family that hasn't even been born to you yet. I hope that you enjoyed today's program. Please come over and let us know how you enjoyed it. Facebook, we are at Dani Johnson Live. That's D-A-N-I Johnson Live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Come over. Please tell us how today's program affected you. And by the way, we invested a tremendous amount of money in producing this show for you. We're not doing it for ourselves, that's for sure. And you know that 100% of the proceeds from anything that comes into our company, this show, guess what? Goes straight to the poor, not to my bank account. I'm not paid a salary, and I don't touch the profits. All of it is going to help to support the team that produces everything inside of our organization, and the rest of it goes after taxes to the poor. So you're doing a good thing when you're taking advantage of spreading these messages all over the place. So please do that now. Freely you received it, now freely spread it. We enjoyed our time with you. We will talk to you tomorrow. God bless and have a great day.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been the Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.